Amen. Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. First and foremost, I'd like to start this lesson by giving all praises, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha, Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and taught us this 100% truth. Salutations unto the 144,000 doing the work of the Lord in all truth, honor, and sincerity. And shalom to the 1/3 men, women, and children who believe in this word being taught unto them. It's your brother Amna Ba'ala, and I'm back at you with another video entitled "We Are Witnessing the Downfall of Our Enemies," man. And you know, it's a beautiful thing to see. Although you still have Israelites out there, you know, that have Stockholm syndrome, that have got, you know, memory loss, that seem to forget, you know, the atrocities that this devil has done towards us as a people, as a nation, you know, as the Most High's chosen people. You know, hey man, these devils have dealt treacherously with us, man, but now, you know, we're in a situation where, especially when you go to America, you got Edomites finally experiencing what I will say, I'll say it like this, the Israelite experience, man. You know, the way we experience this world, you know, the way we experience hardship and things of that nature. These Israelites are starting to feel the pinch. They're starting to know what it's like to go through the struggle, okay? And that's not to say us as Israelites are not going through the struggle. We still are going through the struggle, but we have hope. We're optimistic. We know that, you know, after this, there's better. These Edomites don't know that. This is all they know. They don't know that, or they don't want to believe that they're next into captivity. Revelation 13:10 tells you that, though. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Weren't we led into captivity by these Edomites? Well, the answer is yes. You know, these Edomites are so wicked. You got certain devils out there that will try and claim that we willingly was taken captives. I don't know anyone that willingly puts themselves in captivity. But that just goes to show you the extent that these devils are willing to go to lie and to justify and to make themselves feel better about themselves, because they are already the basest of men. It tells you that in Daniel 4:17. It tells you how the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men and setteth up over whosoever he will. You know, and who did he set up over it? The basest of men, none other than Esau Edom, the so-called white man. And he doesn't like the fact that he's a base man. He doesn't like the fact that he's a waste man. But he can't change that, because hey, it tells you in Romans 9, you know, shall the thing formed say, why hast thou made me thus? You know, like I'm currently driving a particular vehicle, you know, it's got certain specifications and whatever, blah blah blah. You know, the vehicle can't now say to me, why hast thou made me thus? Well, you know, I ain't never experienced owning a brand new vehicle, you know, but you know, when you do that, you get to you know, spec the vehicle exactly how you want it, add this and add that, don't have this, whatever, you know. And when that vehicle comes to you, the vehicle can't then ask you, why hast thou made me thus? Alright, it's just like Esau, you was created to be the wicked. You was made to be an example of how not to rule. You can't then question the Most High and ask him, why hast thou made me thus? You know, you can't question your creator. Alright, this is Sirach 25:7. It reads, there be 9 things which I have judged in mine heart to be happy, and the 10th I will utter with my tongue. A man that have joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy. And we are living to see the fall of our enemies right now, beginning with Esau Edom, the so-called white man. You know, when you go to Psalms 83, it actually lists out all of our enemies, man. you know, you've got Moab. You've got Moab thinking that they're up next. You know, you really got Moab out here thinking that they're up next. You know, and I understand why. Because Moab has made certain technological advancements that America has not yet come to grips with. They've made such an advancement in their, you know, social credit score system and digital currencies and all of that stuff, that Moab actually thinks that they're getting somewhere. You know, Moab actually thinks that, hey man, once America fully falls, we're up next. No man, that's not how the prophecies go. You know, Daniel 2, around about the 44th verse, it didn't say how Moab was going to be set up after the you know, Esau's kingdom is done away with. It didn't say nothing about that. You know, so that's why in Psalms 2, what does it say? It says, why do the heathen rage and imagine a vain thing, man? What's that vain thing? This whole new world order. You know, you got these heathens out here thinking that they're going to be able to, you know, become gods in their own sense and have this, you know, digital system, this digital enslavement, and just have the people just under it, man. You know, they don't know that, you know, all these different nations have been given a certain time and a season to rule, and now it is time for the Israelites to come into power, and it's time for the other nations to fall at our feet. Okay? And it's like, the way America is struggling, man, you know, no one would have seen this coming, man. You know, with how proud they've been. But, you know, I just finished up watching Elder Malcolm's, you know, sit-down class. And, you know, he was talking about how you've got these countries where these American military bases are at. And they're actually kicking out these Americans, man. They're you know, they're getting rid of the military that's there. You know, they're getting run out of land. You know, just like how in ancient Rome, how they felt. You know, they spread themselves too thin. America has been spread too thin. You know, there's just, you know, military base all over the gaff. All right, but now they're having trouble at their doorstep, man. Okay. Jeremiah 50:23 says, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? So it's like, you was, you know, once seen as one of the greatest nations on earth. And I can attest to that, because I remember being a child. And, you know, you watch them child actors, you know, Disney Channel and all of that, Nickelodeon, you know. I grew up watching like iCarly and That's So Raven and The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody and all of that, yeah. You know, you see Hey Jesse and that. You know, you see all these child actors, and of course they're predominantly out of America, and you think to yourself, wow, like, I would love to be like them. You know, how lucky are they? And, you know, they're just living that sweet life. Especially when, I remember watching Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, especially when, you know, then it was what? The Sweet Life on Deck. You know, you're looking at these child actors and you're like, wow, like, you know, I want to be like these guys. And I remember, you know, speaking to my mum and being like, Mum, like, I want to go to America and I want to be a part of these shows and do these things and all of that stuff, right? Little did I know, you know, now I've grown up, you know, these children, man, are being abused, man. They're getting popped and all that. You know how it goes, man. You know, but here it is. We was aspiring to be like them. It's just like every now and again, I always consider like these celebrities, man. You know, at one point, we don't do that no more. But at one point, I can only speak for myself. To be fair, I never really did. But you know, you got people out here that idolize these celebrities, man. I always felt a bit weird doing that, you know. But nonetheless, some of us are guilty of that. Alright? You know, idolizing these celebrities and worshipping the ground that they walk on and thinking them to be a god. When really, these celebrities, they look at us, yeah? And, you know, us average people, just average everyday people, whatever. And really, they wish they could be us. Because they got to do some heinous shit, man. And you see, especially these Israelite celebrities, you know, what separates these Israelite celebrities from, like, these devils, man, these Edomites, is that Jake has a conscience, man. So it's like, Jake be doing certain things to run up the bag. But it's like, it really messes with Jake, because Jake will eventually sit down and think about what he's done and be like, whoa, like, nah, this is some fucked up shit. This is why, you know, then you have those Israelite celebrities, you know, they be doing the interviews, right? And they always got to have the shades on. Yeah, why you always got to have the shades on? Because you know that you did some shit, man. And you don't want to show, you know, they say that the eyes are the window to the soul. They don't want to show their eyes, man, because they know that they've been on some shit. Alright? So it says in Jeremiah 50:23, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Because you see, they're even getting hated on by their own allies, man. Their own allies are coming up against them, you know. Before we read on, let's quickly go to Revelation 17. Revelation 17 tells us in verse 16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. Which these 10 horns is talking about the NATO and the EU, which ultimately, excuse me, my nose, you know, they're about 30 odd countries now, 30 odd nations. All right. Now, it says, these shall hate the whore, which is America, which sitteth upon the beast, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So, you know, America's, you know, and Trump's a perfect man too, because, you know, that guy's loose with his mouth, you know. You know, something's going to be said or something's going to be done to where these other nations, the NATO and EU alliance, are going to say, hey, you know what, man? And they're going to aim their missiles at America too. All right? That's why it says in 17, Revelation 17:17, for the Most High have put in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of the Most High shall be fulfilled. So it's like, you know, these nations have pretty much submitted to America being in power and you know, but this is only for a period of time until the, you know, the words of the Lord be fulfilled, and it's time for them to turn their backs on America, man. And where we can see that time is fastly approaching. All right. So just going back to Jeremiah 50. Yeah, it's that season, man. Sinuses playing up in that. I've got a hay fever, I've got a pollen out there. Jeremiah 50:24. I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou was not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. And, you know, all that striving against the Lord, all right, we're about to see the results of that. We're about to, you know, the Most High is about to make an ensample out of these devils, man. And we're going to learn why we should fear the Lord, and, you know, why we should walk in his ways, and, you know, we shouldn't try to establish our own righteousness, because that's what Esau has done. He's tried to establish his own righteousness. It's just like Cain, when he, you know, what did he give up for a sacrifice? He offered up fruit, man. You know, if Cain did the right thing, he would have been blessed also. But that's the thing, is that, you know, just like their forefather Cain, Esau is not programmed to do the right thing. You know, it tells you that in Habakkuk 2:4. just real quick, man. Habakkuk 2:4 says, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by faith. You know, so he's actually not an upright man. He is his ways are clean contrary to us. You know, Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 goes all into that, man. You know, but this is a pleasure to see Esau Edom is falling, man. You know, they can keep up the brave face and that and act like everything's all right, but we know everything is not all right, man. You know, you know society's doing bad when these devils are complaining, man. When Esau Edom's complaining, yeah, society's doing real bad, man. So, you know, and this is what we've been praying for, and this is what we continue to pray for, man, to see and witness the downfall of our enemies, man, and the uprising of our people, beginning with the elect. All right, so yeah, man, I kind of got to make a move this morning, man. So I'm gonna wrap it up here, but I pray, Lord willing, this lesson has been edifying. And so the next time I say shalom, stay up, stay strong, man.